What signals should owners or HR leaders and teams watch for that confirm that this isn't going to self-correct? You had mentioned that, we're in a shortage that is structural and
Yeah.
generational, not necessarily cyclical. Do you mind explaining a little bit about what those differences are? And then what is it that people should understand why it's not self-correcting?
Yeah. First things first, this is the last year where we will net an increase in high school graduates. Starting this graduating class onward, we will graduate fewer and fewer seniors forever. And I mean, and it really falls off a cliff in a number of years. So everybody's going to be scrambling for young people. Universities are going to get more desperate to try to fill their ranks. They got to pay themselves, and other companies that are looking for that entering labor force will find that that labor force is disappearing. In fact, in the next 10 years, you're going to see the 16 to 24-year-old labor force decline by about 2 million. The population of 16 to 20 or 24 and under, the total population of 24 and under will decline by 7 million between now and 2034, while the older population, 65 and older, is growing by 9 million. So we're going to need a lot of people who want skilled trades, people to come fix, their air conditioning or to install something at the same time that we're watching young people kind of disappear. So that is a structural problem in and of itself. The other issue is that despite what people say, and you get different messages over different years, a lot of there's a somehow been some kind of thing that somehow universities became less popular. They're very expensive. You have to pay all that debt back. People aren't seeing the value proposition in universities that they used to see. And what I found is the data just doesn't support it. Like I think we all believe that. We can certainly find anecdotes of people doing that, but the data still overwhelmingly shows that, the majority of kids by far go in. Now, do they graduate in time? Sometimes they drop out, do all of these things. Well, all of these various things happen. But one thing it's not changing is the unemployment rate for install, maintenance, and repair, where we see most of the skilled trades or the construction occupations. We're seeing unemployment rates that have historically been associated with the highest level professional roles. We have a lower unemployment rate in IMR than we have in computer professional IT degrees. And this is something that for years we talked about labor shortages and it was STEM. But now you talk about labor shortages in a different way. Now it's more your production occupations and your construction occupations. I think it was last month, construction had the fewest unemployed people that had ever been recorded, or if they could maybe 1 month in history that had ever been that low. And IMR is in the same situation. So you have a messaging that we've been doing for 30 years, telling everybody if you don't go to college, you're a loser. And lo and behold, they listened. And the reality was everything changed. In the past decade, things have been changing. Skilled trades are starting to make really good money. The opportunity for ownership or advancement has changed dramatically, but that message definitely has not made it to Main Street. It's
Hmm.
in certain communities, certain rural areas. Certain states have some programs with it, but blanket across the U.S., you don't see it. It's just a lot of empty words so far. And I think that that's the other biggest problem is there's still this. You still see it from a policy side, from the very top levels of the country on down, that everybody should be able to go to college, and we need more college assistance programs. And that's all the wrong messaging. You can always do those things. You can always go to college. But the reality is what we really need is for people to say, hey, there are so many different routes, and maybe you add college at some point just so when you're running your own business, you can do your
Right.
numbers better or whatever. But I think that that's something we've just gotten wrong is we need more people exposed to these jobs when they're younger because there's going to be fewer of them anyway.